I was in my sophomore class at Tennessee State University. I'd already been working in radio since I was 16.
Oprah Winfrey's life is not just the story of a woman who conquered television. It's the story of how pain can become power. Born on January 29, 1954, in Kosciuszko, Mississippi, she came into a world that offered her nothing but hardship. Her teenage mother, Vernita Lee, worked as a maid. Her father, Vernon Winfrey, was a barber and part-time coal miner. Their relationship fell apart before she could even speak her first words, leaving Oprah to grow up between homes that never quite felt like home. The making of a queen. Her early years were spent on her grandmother's small farm, where poverty ruled every corner of life. Yet, from that soil of struggle, a gift bloomed: her love for reading. Her grandmother taught her the Bible before she turned 3, and soon, little Oprah was standing in church reciting verses with a conviction beyond her years. Reading became her armor, her comfort, her secret escape. She once said, "Books were my ticket to freedom." By age 6, her world shifted again. She was sent north to live with her mother in Milwaukee, stepping into a life of neglect and instability. Her mother worked long hours, leaving Oprah to navigate a world that often felt cold and unsafe. In her teenage years, she faced traumas no child should endure, violations of trust that left scars far deeper than words could describe. At 14, she gave birth to a baby boy who died shortly after. It was a loss that nearly broke her spirit, yet also marked the start of her rebirth. The turning point. After the tragedy, Oprah was sent to live with her father in Nashville, a strict disciplinarian who valued education and structure above all. Though his love came wrapped in tough rules, he gave her something she had never known before: stability. Under his roof, she began to rebuild herself. He demanded excellence, curfews, and accountability. She responded with determination. Years later, she would say, "Turn your wounds into wisdom." It wasn't just a quote. It was her life's blueprint. At 17, her talent began to shine. She entered and won the Miss Black Tennessee beauty pageant, a small moment that opened the door to her destiny. That victory led her to radio work at WVOL in Nashville while still in high school. She often showed up with borrowed clothes and an empty stomach, but her voice, honest, raw, and soulful, commanded attention. By 19, she became the youngest and first Black female news anchor at WLAC-TV. She had arrived, but her climb had only begun. The rise of a revolution. In 1978, Oprah co-hosted a local talk show in Baltimore called People Are Talking. What made her different was her authenticity. She didn't interview guests from a distance. She connected. She laughed. She cried. She felt. Viewers saw themselves in her vulnerability. It was a kind of television the world hadn't seen. Not performance, but truth. Then came the call that changed everything. In 1984, she was offered a struggling morning show in Chicago, AM Chicago. Few believed she could save it, but within months, she transformed it from dead last to number 1, toppling even Phil Donahue, the king of daytime TV. By 1986, The Oprah Winfrey Show was born, and with it, a new era of television. For 25 seasons, her show wasn't just a program, it was a cultural cathedral. Viewers came for healing, for truth, for connection. Oprah once said, "Everybody just wants to be seen and heard." And every day, that's what she offered millions: validation. She became the mirror through which a nation looked at itself. But success came with a price. Behind the applause were lonely nights, endless pressure, and a body that became a battleground for public scrutiny. The same media that celebrated her power often mocked her appearance. Yet through it all, she remained unbroken. "I may have been born poor," she once said, "but I will not die without meaning." Loss, grief, and endurance. Oprah's journey through fame was matched by a lifetime of loss. In 1989, her younger brother Jeffrey died of AIDS, at a time when stigma overshadowed compassion. It broke her heart that someone she loved had to die in silence. Years later, in 2003, her half-sister Pat lost her battle with addiction. Another piece of Oprah's heart went missing. Then in 2010 came a revelation that stunned her. She had another half-sister, Patricia Lofton, who'd been given up for adoption decades earlier. Their reunion was tender and bittersweet, joy and regret intertwined. "It felt like finding the missing piece of myself," Oprah said, but also realizing how many years were gone. In 2018, her mother passed away. Their relationship had always been complex, filled with distance and wounds, but her death still carved a void in Oprah's heart. 4 years later, in 2022, she lost her father, Vernon Winfrey, the man who had saved her by enforcing discipline. His death, she admitted, left her hollow. "It was like the foundation beneath me cracked," she said. Through every death, every heartbreak, she did what she always did, turned her pain into purpose. She carried each loss not as chains, but as lessons in love, endurance, and forgiveness. Love that endures. In a world obsessed with fairy tale weddings, Oprah chose a different path. Her love story with Stedman Graham began in 1986, and though they announced an engagement in 1992, they never married. "If we had married," she said, "we would not still be together." Their relationship, built on respect and independence, defied Hollywood's scripts. Stedman never tried to overshadow her light. Instead, he protected it. For nearly 4 decades, they've shared a quiet partnership away from cameras, two souls grounded not in ceremony, but in choice. Their love became a sanctuary where she could simply be Oprah, not a brand or icon. Her decision not to have children was another act of courage. "I wouldn't have been a good mother," she once admitted, acknowledging the scars of her youth. Yet through her philanthropy, she became a mother to millions through scholarships, mentorship, and her girls' school in South Africa. She didn't birth children, she built futures. The Sanctuary of Peace. Today at 71, Oprah Winfrey lives in Montecito, California, not in the noise of fame, but in the serenity of her own making. Her ranches, gardens, and horses are not symbols of luxury, but of healing. The girl who once wore potato sacks now walks barefoot on her own land, feeling the same earth beneath her feet, this time as its owner, not its laborer. Her $3 billion empire stretches from Harpo Productions to OWN, from O Magazine to her Apple TV Plus projects. But for her, wealth is not about zeros, it's about purpose. Through the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa, she's educated hundreds of young women who now call themselves Oprah's daughters. Her foundation has built schools, funded scholarships, and provided aid in times of crisis. When wildfires ravaged Maui in 2023, she co-launched the People's Fund of Maui, giving millions directly to victims. For Oprah, philanthropy isn't charity, it's redemption. It's giving others what she once needed most. A chance. The woman beyond the empire. In her 70s, Oprah's legacy is not just built on ratings, awards, or billions. It's built on hearts healed, voices lifted, and dreams ignited. She continues to write, to speak, to listen. Her book club shapes literature. Her podcasts and interviews still command global attention. And when she appears, people stop to listen, not to a celebrity, but to a conscience. She has stumbled, doubted, and cried. She has lost family, battled her body, and faced a lifetime of scrutiny. Yet she stands, not as someone untouched by pain, but as someone transformed by it. Her greatest lesson remains timeless. No matter who you are, what you've been through, or what the world told you, you can rise. Conclusion: the flame that never died. Oprah Winfrey's life is not perfection. It's perseverance. It's the story of a girl who walked barefoot through poverty and ended up walking red carpets with grace, a woman who carried the pain of millions while healing herself in real time. At dawn in Montecito, she sometimes walks alone through her garden, quiet, reflective, grateful. She has known loss and glory, hunger and abundance, loneliness and love. She has lived every extreme of the human experience, and through it all, she never stopped believing in light. Oprah Winfrey didn't just redefine success, she redefined survival. And in doing so, she redefined what it means to be human. The whole point of being alive, she once said, is to evolve into the complete person you were intended to be. And that is exactly what she did. From the child in rags to the woman in command of an empire, Oprah Winfrey became not just the queen of television, but the living embodiment of hope.